So, retired Massachusetts Judge Carol Erskine did an interview and roasted the shit out of Auntie Bev. Let's talk about it. She said that she couldn't imagine herself behaving the way Canone did. She said she was completely improper, and her comments were towards Jackson for the grave concerns were full of animosity and degrading. And she asked herself if the judge was a neutral arbitrator because she didn't think that she was. Imagine a fellow judge in Massachusetts doesn't think she's a neutral arbitrator. Unbelievable to me. She believes that Judge Canone violated Karen Reed's Sixth Amendment rights, which is the right to a speedy trial, to counsel, to question your witnesses, that kind of stuff, because of the way she was behaving. And she was completely disgusted by it. She couldn't imagine herself acting or saying some of the things that Judge Canone did. So how is that possible? She also gave an example of when Canone wouldn't allow Dr. La Posada, who's done over 13,000 autopsies, wouldn't allow her to talk about the dog bite patterns on the arm. But she also allowed the Shannon Burgess from Aperture, with no degree, no methodology, and was continuing to change his theory and talking from both sides of his mouth without a voir dire, whatever the hell that word is. But she allowed him to testify completely. And then she, according to Judge Erskine, she said that she said to Jackson in the defense, I'll allow you to vigorously cross-examine them. And no shit. We can anyway. We don't need you to allow us to do that. That's part of the process. What are we talking about? So, for those of you who are questioning your lack of knowledge like me on the federal or the state, the laws, questioning what's legal, what's not, that kind of thing, how can she get away with this? She shouldn't be getting away with it. She shouldn't, according to Judge Erskine, and she's completely disgusted. So this wasn't a matter of you and I not knowing the legal system. Our instincts were correct. And I'm going to play the video from Judge Erskine's interview right after I'm done talking so you can watch it for yourself.
Judge Canone intentionally and purposefully decided to make comments on the record about attorneys throughout this process, specifically having grave concern about certain things the defense attorneys did. These things that she said about Attorney Jackson and specifically the defense attorneys, I'll just say it because she didn't really do it to the prosecutor at all. Those things can follow an attorney, and lawyers can then cite that if they write a motion to you and say, hey, Tragos over here in, Idaho, this judge said it. You don't know who that judge is in Idaho. You have a record of a judge saying you're not reliable or you violated this intentionally. Talk about how big of a deal that is to you as a judge to put something like that on a record about a lawyer and how careful you would be to do that.
It was a huge, huge deal for me. I was fired up about it because when you're on the bench, you have to be so careful about what you say. And you always have to remember that there are rules about what judges can do and not do and what they can say and not say. And judges cannot say things that, bring about any kind of view that they might be biased. I called it the grave concerns shot heard around the world.
That causes me grave concern. The implications of that information may have profound effects on this defense and defense counsel.
I can't even imagine myself being on the bench and saying something like that. To me, that was improper. And the reason I say that is, first of all, it didn't have to be public, because it was surrounding a potential violation. So that's when you bring judges back into the lobby and you sit down with them and say, we need to discuss these improprieties, because that's not really related to the evidence in the case. But to put it out there in front of essentially millions of people, and it also was the way that it was said, I have grave concerns, and this sort of degrading comments maybe about the lawyers and in particular Jackson, her feelings of, I don't know what to call it, animus or whatever, towards Jackson came out at times during the trial. At least I felt that way. It causes you to ask the question, is this judge a neutral arbitrator if she's saying something like that? And that's what has to happen, because until you are making a decision on something, you have to be a neutral person and listen to the evidence. This was something that really I was taken aback by. I just couldn't believe it. And you're right, I didn't think of it in that term. Exactly what you pointed out. This is something that other people can use later on. Just having someone just make a declaration like that. And in my view, this is something that violates the very constitutional tenet of the Sixth Amendment rights. A lot of times I focused on that. I teach constitutional law, so I have a heavy focus on it. And a lot of my viewpoints were premised in that.